Welcome to Oscar Sunday. I'm Austin Johnson.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
This is episode 105, our 2-year anniversary of this show. Way back in June of 2020, Connor and I, we were, well underway with our Filmgazm podcast, just cranking out genre films, having loads of fun. But we kept coming back to these conversations about Oscar-nominated movies and movies that are not always, genre or horror films or whatever. So we wanted to make this show to talk about films that are just super important to the, cinematic landscape, to cinematic history. So we started this show with Pulp Fiction 2 years ago, right? I believe that was June 7th of 2020 is when we did that. So I can't believe we've been doing this for 2 years already. We've knocked out some amazing movies. Both of our personal favorites. We got to do Magnolia last week for episode 104. That's my favorite movie of all time. I believe episode 20 was Back to the Future. That's your favorite movie of all time. And we've done, so many movies in between. We've done Chinatown and Dead Poet Society and Whiplash and all these incredible movies. On the Waterfront. We've gone back to, fucking At Eternity's Gate and Best Years of Our Lives and like all these different movies. We've had so much fun. And this movie that we're doing today, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is the best and most important movie we've ever covered. And it's The Godfather from 1972. 45th Academy Awards, Best Picture Showdown. The Godfather beat Cabaret, Deliverance, The Immigrants, and Sounder. So this is big time stuff. And I think this has been kind of brewing throughout the whole 2 years that we've been doing this show. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we did the Godfather trilogy as a Weird Shit Wednesday on Filmgazm, 3 years ago?
Yeah, it was within the first 30. I think it was like episode 25 or something. We were doing just whatever the hell for every fifth episode. And we did a whole thing on the Godfather trilogy where we just kind of looked into each movie and talked about the cast and whatnot of the three movies. And that was fun, but not really what I wanted to do with The Godfather. This is what I wanted to do with The Godfather.
Yeah. I totally know what you mean. We have an opportunity here to just tackle this film not easily, but it's my favorite of the trilogy. I really like part 2, but part 1, you get Marlon Brando. So I'll take that any day of the week. And it's such a great kind of episodic type film that means so much to like what we see now. And all these movies are 50 years old. So it's kind of cool that we're doing a 50-year anniversary type thing for these films. And The Godfather, I think it's no secret. When we do Best Picture Showdowns, it's kind of like, oh, let's see where they're going to rank. I mean, come on, there's no competition. The Godfather is probably the best Picture winner of all time. It's just, if you like movies and you have a pulse and all those things, this is it. This is kind of like the mecca of Best Picture winners. And it was also the highest grossing film for a long time, right? It's a big fucking deal, this movie. And for gangster films, for Al Pacino, for Robert De Niro in part 2, for Robert Duvall, for James Caan, Marlon Brando, this is kind of like a resurrection type role for him. He had a weird 60s, obviously had an amazing 50s, kind of a strange 60s where he wasn't churning out amazing stuff like Streetcar Named Desire, and On the Waterfront. Then he does this, and you're like, oh, the guy's still the king. He's still fucking got it, and he's clearly like reading off cue cards half the movie. It doesn't fucking matter. he's the man. I think I think like 5 minutes ago, when I was naming off some of the movies, what did I say? I meant to say From Here to Eternity. What did I say?
Yeah, At Eternity's Gate. I was going to say something, but you were in the zone. That's that Willem Dafoe, Vincent Van Gogh movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which we haven't covered yet.
Which is like 2018. That's another great movie. From Here to Eternity is definitely the Burt Lancaster movie. Is the one I was talking about. I love that movie. It's the Best Picture winner. We've done so much cool shit, and it all kind of comes to this. I feel like we could quit Oscar Sunday after this episode with The Godfather. It's just incredible stuff. And one day we'll do Godfather Part 2. I would say it'd be cool if we did it 2 years from now for another 50th anniversary for, 1974 all the way to 2024. Why not? But right now, I want to talk about just this movie. We'll stay away from part 2 and part 3. We're kind of just going to hone in on the Best Picture category. Talk about Cabaret. We both watched that this week. Deliverance, both watched that this week. The Immigrants, both watched that this week. And Sounder, we both watched that shit this week. So we've been putting the homework in, because these are not like easy movies necessarily to find and watch. So this has been some of the most homeworky type episode that we've ever done, where the other ones, we've done shittier movies, but the Immigrants, literally you have to buy it online on CriterionChannel.com or Amazon as a Criterion, edition DVD or Blu-ray. That's the only way to watch it here in the United States. So like I spent the $20 and I let you borrow it, and it's over 3 hours, and it's crazy. Sounder, I believe, is on Tubi. Deliverance, that one's not as hard to find. That was on no, I don't think it's on a streaming service, but we both own that movie. And Cabaret is on Paramount Plus right now, as well as all the Godfather movies. But you should own those. They're great. So yeah, this is kind of an interesting week. I think we both we have differing opinions on the movies as a whole. I generally liked all of them, but I really like 2 of them. But for you, I think you didn't have as much fun as I did.
I mean, we're 105 episodes in. If you listen to this show, you know what I'm about. And some of these films just didn't have it for me. The Immigrants felt like it was actively trying to get me to quit. You can't find the movie. You got to get this super hard to find edition. You got to watch almost 3.5 hour movie. Like, can you do it? And there were times where I'm like, is it worth it? Like, I could stop here and just lie, but I would feel it wouldn't feel right. So yeah, I toughed through it, and I was like, okay, all right, I get it. But getting there, holy shit. And yeah, some of these movies, Sounder is in terrible fucking quality on Tubi.
Yeah.
Like I was watching like a vinyl record movie, if that's even possible.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
And yeah, it's and some of these, were longtime films I've wanted to see that were fairly disappointing. So this was a week of kind of, separating the men from the boys. Like, the showdown must go on.
Yeah.
Not the worst bunch, but definitely not one of my favorites.
Yeah, we've done, and it doesn't have a movie that's so bad. Like, we both were disgusted by Fanny from, I believe, 1961.
Yeah.
That's the year we both really like The Hustler and Judgment at Nuremberg. Guns of Navarone was pretty cool. West Side Story won that year. It's fine. I think it's just extremely overrated. And we both were like, Fanny sucks. That is probably the only time. Well, 1960, the year The Apartment won, I think there were a couple duds there too.
Yeah.
Sons and Lovers.
Yep. And The Sundowners.
Yeah, those are both fine. Just like, okay, I'm never going to watch them again. Fine, neat. But look how far we've come, right? When we first started this show, we would have given up on The Immigrants. We would have been like, fuck that. I'm not spending $20 on this movie that I probably won't even like.
I remember early on, there were some where we're like, fuck it, let's just not watch that.
Yes. Well, yeah. The one that sticks out the most to me is Five Easy Pieces. Five Easy Pieces, great movie. 1970 was up for Best Picture. Lost to Patton. Was also up against MASH, Airport, and
Love Story.
And that was the one we didn't watch because we were like, we can't find it. Fuck it. I'm not spending money on it. And we both didn't. We're both not really big MASH fans, and we both did not like Airport very much. That was more about Five Easy Pieces versus Patton, 2 polar opposite movies that are both really good.
Yeah.
But the point is, now we would never do that. We're never going to skip a movie. The goal is now, when we do these showdowns, is to knock out every single Best Picture nominated movie that's ever existed. And by doing these showdowns every 5th episode, we're not cramming everything in. We give ourselves a month or so to kind of, okay, find the movies, watch them. I usually wait till about a week and a half out and start watching them all. but we both plan out, all right, how are we going to do this? How are we going to find these movies? What do we need to do? Do you need to buy, do you need to come borrow them type thing? And we've been doing this now, and slowly but surely, we've knocked out so many Best Picture winners. The first one we did was Kramer vs. Kramer as a proper Best Picture Showdown. That was episode 25. Then we did The Apartment. Then we did Moonlight. Then we did Chariots of Fire. Then we did American Beauty. Just doing this all on top of my head. I'm trying. Then we did Lord of the Rings. That was our 50th episode. We did all 3 movies, but obviously Return of the King is the winner that we really were praising the hell out of. From Here to Eternity. At Eternity's Gate. Shit. This is gonna be tough now. From Here to Eternity. I know Unforgiven we did at some point. We did Nomadland at some point. We did what was the last? Oh, we did Silence of the Lambs for episode 100. We did 12 Years a Slave. We've done that one. I know I'm missing a few, but I'm having a hard time here now.
Best Years of Our Lives.
Yeah, love that one.
The French Connection.
Yeah, that one was great.
West Side Story, we mentioned. No Country for Old Men.
Oh, yeah.
Silence of the Lambs. Yeah. We didn't do one for the 2022 Oscars. That was a showdown. Like it was a fifth, but we didn't do a showdown.
Oh, okay. That makes sense to like just talk about the
Yeah. And then we've done, before we started doing the showdowns, we did cover a lot of Best Picture winners early on.
We covered Hamlet
on
the waterfront, Wings.
Wings, It Happened One Night, Rocky, In the Heat of the Night.
Damn, yeah.
That's about it. Yeah, for winners.
Damn, that's a lot. So from episode 25 to now, episode 105, every 5th episode, we've done a Best Picture Showdown, and we've both watched every single Best Picture nominee. That's a lot, man, and we're slowly but surely just going to do that every 5th episode. And before you know it, we're going to have seen every Best Picture nominated movie. That's the goal, right? Without it being like this extremely annoying, I got to cross these off. We're just doing it organically. And it's been beautiful, honestly. I've had a lot of fun. And then the episodes in between, we're just having fun and just doing movies, like one-off movies that we just want to talk about. So I've been having a blast, but this show, it's sped by, and you forget how many good movies have just stacked up over time. Like, holy shit, there's like 30 of these movies that I think are 10s that are like perfect movies that we've covered out of 105. Like that's a good batting average, right? There's been very few that we've disliked. There's been very few that we straight up disagree on. It's been a fun, nice, therapeutic experience. But again, it all culminates to the Godfather, this Best Picture winner that we've known for a long time. We got to do that. It's gonna happen. We're just gonna kind of bide our time, wait for the right moment. And I haven't seen this movie. I watched it last night. We're recording on Friday night. It's pretty late, but I watched it last night, super late. I was up till 3 a.m, and I was like, I don't care. I mean, this is some of the best 3 hours of entertainment you can find. And I hadn't seen it since we did that episode almost 3 years ago or whatever. So there was a big gap where I was like, let it breathe. Don't watch The Godfather. It will come on Oscar Sunday. It will come. And when it does, you're going to remember how good this movie is. And I'm going to do it again. I'm not going to watch this movie for another 2 or 3 years, because every time I watch it, I go down this crazy rabbit hole of, is this the best movie ever made? You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. It's hard to argue with it when you're in the zone, when you're watching this movie. A wave just falls over you where you're like, this is cinema. This is what I strive for. This is what I look for. And you just watch this epic unfold, never a dull moment. Every character pops, amazing screenplay, music, everything working together to create this American masterpiece that has endured for 50 years and has become kind of the face of film itself. Like, to a lot of people, The Godfather is the top of the pyramid. And I get it. It's hard to argue that. Like, I'm not going to argue that. If you think The Godfather is the greatest movie of all time, yeah. Okay.
Totally
I'll buy
fair.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I have no qualms with that at all. It's not my favorite movie, and it's probably not in my top. I don't know. It's probably somewhere in my top 50 favorite, like personal, like, oh man, I have to like take this movie to the grave.
Yeah.
But I have no problem being like, yeah, it's Jaws, it's Godfather, these American classics. Like, you have to see them. They're so important to how storytelling has developed over time. And not only, I love Jaws to death, but with The Godfather, it's this pop culture phenomenon that is still embedded in like what we do here in America, all like day to day. It pops up in different things all the time. And movies, of course, specifically, have just straight up copied this shit over and over and over. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Goodfellas being like, yeah, I mean, we want to be The Godfather. We're almost as good as The Godfather. We're right there. It's fine. Like, I just have no problem with directors and screenwriters and people wanting to do what Francis Ford Coppola did with this movie. I have no problem with it.
It's one of those films that if you can somehow capture even an ounce of like the film's tone, then your movie's going to work. It's The Well.
Yeah.
I get it. No, you can make gangster movies till the end of time. Nothing's going to compare. But if you can capture just the flavor, people are going to respond. Even in parody, I've seen, Vito Corleone has been parodied to death for 50 years, even by Brando himself in the 1990s, The Freshman, which was a terrible movie, I thought. But the fact that even he was in on the joke speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's perfection, on a film reel. And I don't understand anybody who doesn't like it. I've never met anybody who doesn't like it, but I think they're lying or they haven't seen it.
Yeah. I often think that about, or I can see if you saw this like at a young age and you're just it's long and it's dialogue heavy. And if you're not in the right mindset as like maybe a youngster who's not quite understanding like what it means to cinema, what it means to what it means to pop culture, I would understand them being kind of like, it's just not really for me. But as an adult, like a functioning adult who knows America, lives in America, I mean, this is American as it gets, this, mafia mob story about this Italian, the five families, right? It's just like, it's so fucking perfect. And we don't have that without, of course, the book, right? We don't have that without the weird stuff behind the scenes with production, with Francis Ford Coppola being like the 10th pick, right? And he's the one who actually understood what this movie could do. And we don't have it without Marlon Brando and Al Pacino, Robert Duvall and James Caan and Sterling Hayden, all these people who came together and just knocked the shit out of every single role.
Yeah.
This movie's fucking lights out, and I'm super excited to be talking about it today. We don't really have like this is our opening. It's just kind of talking about what this movie means to us and what it means to a podcast like Oscar Sunday. It means a lot to us.
Oh yeah, this is I've known most of my life that this was special. I saw this for the first time when I was 14.
About the same for me too. Yeah.
My family we were talking about something. I was already a huge fan of Goodfellas, and I guess The Godfather came up in conversation, and they were like, "You've never seen The Godfather?" And so we created an event around it. Like, Connor's going to watch The Godfather. And we watched it, and I was hooked within 10 minutes. I'm like, this is awesome. These characters are insane. Like, even then I was like, this is something. And it's just become part of my film cycle. I watch it randomly when I'm like, let's put on The Godfather.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
great movie. And then, yeah, it's funny as hell. But yeah, this means a lot to me.
Yeah. It was about the same time for me as well, watching it. It was just one of those things where it's like, if I want to move forward as a movie person, I should probably watch these movies.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just took a weekend. I remember I watched this one on the first one on Friday, the second one on Saturday, and the third one on a Sunday, and I just knocked them out in a weekend type thing. I miss those days when that was what your weekend was built around, like when you're a kid and like food is just there for you. You like your mom just makes you food and you don't have to worry about spending money. And you get to just watch movies and like fucking eat candy and shit and not worry about anything. I miss those days a lot. It's a good time.
I still pretty much do that. It's just I'm supplying the food.
Yeah. That's the main point though, is like when things are just there for you, it's like, oh yeah, all I got to do is pay attention to The Godfather. Sounds good. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's been with me for a while now. These movies, basically half my life, but half of both of our lives, and it has become it ever since I saw it. It became a part of my dialogue, my language, just like anybody who's into these movies. You find yourself doing the Don Corleone, the acts, the weird kind of you just find yourself kind of talking like that. Or for me, my favorite character is Sonny, so I've always just been like, the scene when he dies, just I've always loved that when he gets shot like 45 times and still stands up and gets out of his car. I've always thought that's amazing. And these things I just kind of just make me full of joy, these different scenes and different bits of dialogue, an offer you can't refuse, strictly business, those things are just a part of how we talk now. Just like movies that Pulp Fiction, like the dialogue, the language of it is a part of our language, a part of our DNA, and that's like really powerful.
Yeah, and this film is a masterclass in character development. I mean, maybe the greatest singular character arc of all time is Michael Corleone. I mean,
Jesus Christ, man, yeah,
just this, this innocent guy who wants nothing to do with his criminal family, forced into it, and it becomes a fucking sadistic monster over the course of like 10 years. And
yeah,
it's just brilliant. And I love that the crime is kind of secondary. Like, this is ultimately a film about family and legacy and, making your mark on the world. And Vito Corleone is very vocal about, I don't want my son to be me. And through circumstances out of his control, it happens, and he just has to accept that. It's hard to watch that sometimes. You're like, you could have been somebody.
yeah. I love that shit because it's Pacino and James Caan and all these, Robert Duvall. These guys they're like 30 to 40 years old when the Godfather movies come out, right? Yeah. And they've looked up to Brando as kids. They looked up to this guy, and you can feel the scenes between specifically Pacino and Brando. It's like he's looking at him like a father figure. Like the family drama aspect of it makes sense. And man, my God, I mean, what Al Pacino does. I mean, I love him in this one, but oh man, in the second one, he's just it's what it has. If you were to argue for, I know De Niro is great as the young Vito, and he's got like when he kills Finucci is like one of the coolest scenes ever. But Al Pacino in that movie is giving us one of the greatest performances like in the history of movies. Al Pacino's crazy, just like full throttle performance in Godfather Part 2 is one of the best things I can think of when I think of movies.
And I think it's even more amazing considering we were so close to not getting it. If the production had their way, Pacino never would have touched this movie. Coppola went to bat for him so hard. And because he saw something in this 32-year-old kid, like, this is Michael. This kid's going to be somebody. And he became one of the most respected and greatest actors of all time.
Yeah.
amazing. Sometimes that's all it takes is somebody just believing in you one time.
Yeah. And going against, and I understand if I were like one of the producers, I'd be like, this guy, this kind of short guy with, brown hair named Al Pacino, you want him to play, because in the book, he's a tall, all-American type with blonde hair is Michael Corleone. Fucking, war hero. And Pacino doesn't really translate at all. But for the movies, Francis was like, no, we need a guy who has something to prove. We need a guy who, when he's standing next to Sonny and standing next to, his dad and these different guys, he is the shortest one. He's the one looking up at everybody like, I'm right here though. I'm going to come for you. It's like such an interesting thing that works in its favor.
Well, he's the baby brother. Sonny was supposed to be the Don. He was supposed to be the one to take over the business, but he got himself killed. And of course, Fredo's not going to do it. It has to be Michael.
Fredo.
Fredo. If I'm going to pick a winner for part 2, it's fucking John Cazale. But
okay,
that's an argument for 2 years from now.
Yeah. Right now it would be Al Pacino for me. I think Pacino's just like, holy shit, this is a rock star performance. But I get it. John Cazale, and his death is like, oh my God, it's just, it's so horrible.
I also find it interesting that production was not shy about why they hired Coppola. They hired him strictly because he was Italian, and they were getting all sorts of hate mail from Italian communities being like, don't glorify the mob. Even the mob was like, you shut down this production.
Yeah,
and they had to work out a deal with the Gambinos. Like, the real mob was involved in this movie.
Yeah,
the guy who plays Johnny Fontaine, they got him that role by hustling the production.
Yeah,
which is fucking crazy considering the movie. But yeah, it's like everything could have gone wrong. Nothing was working for Coppola. And yet he managed to pull together this masterpiece. Something that he would do quite often. He did the same shit with Apocalypse Now, where it's like everything's falling apart, but I'm going to make something out of this mess.
Yeah.
God damn. What
incredible,
beautiful fixer he was.
Yes. Yeah. I do not envy what he had to deal with, of course, the product that comes out of it is amazing, but getting there, is very difficult. And that's why they made a TV show, The Offer, about all this stuff. I haven't heard, I haven't watched it. I haven't heard great things, but it's on Paramount Plus. Maybe one day there might be a week in the summer where I'm like, fuck it. I'll go through this, even if I don't love it. It's probably got some interesting information,
Yeah. But I'm wondering, is there enough real history here to make an entire series about this? How much is dramatized? How much is not taken seriously?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah, we'll see. I also am a big Miles Teller fan, so that'd be a reason to, I love that guy.
Nah, give me a 2-hour movie about this and I'm good, but I don't need an 8-episode series.
I thought it was 10.
Oh, is it 10? Fuck.
Maybe I'm wrong. Either way, 8 or 10 is too long. That's like 8, 9, 10 hours is too much.
I'm looking it up right now because I'm curious. It is 10. God damn. It's too much.
Yeah, it's too much. We don't need it. that I cannot do.
Yeah, that is an offer I can refuse.
Yes. So good. Well, what I want to do here is do something different with the Best Picture Showdown that like a different format than we've ever done. I want to do our awards first, right? For the Godfather. It's just we're already fucking rolling. We might as well go ahead and get into what we love most about this movie. And then I want to go into the 45th Academy Awards and do our rankings first. And then go down that, then go down all the categories, and because Godfather is up for 11, or is it might be, I think it's 10 actually. Yeah, 10. Cabaret and Godfather were both up for 10. And depending on how you look at it, Cabaret might have won the night. Cabaret won 8 awards. Godfather won 3. And Marlon Brando wouldn't even fucking accept the one that he won. So and Al Pacino, he didn't even show up to the Oscars because he was nominated for supporting actor. He didn't even show up. He boycotted the ceremony because he thought he should have been up for best actor, not best supporting actor. I totally get it because he's on the screen. His runtime is more. than Marlon Brando. So that has happened. We've seen that happen before. This movie, it's The Godfather. It's very much about Vito at the tail end, last 10 years of his life. It's very much about that and Michael taking over. But part two is Michael's show. So when people question why Al Pacino never won until Scent of a Woman, it's like maybe because he boycotted the Oscars.
That'll do it.
In 1972. So from then on, Serpico and Dog Day Afternoon, these different movies that he was in that he's great in. It's like, well, when you do that, you're gonna kind of leave bad taste in these people's mouths. So I get it both ways. I understand him wanting to be up for Best Actor. Guess what? You would have lost to Marlon Brando. But I also, I understand the Academy being like, fuck you, man. Like, we gave you a nomination. Just show up. Robert Duvall and James Caan showed up. Come on.
Especially since at the time, he wasn't anybody.
No.
So that was a ballsy move that could have torpedoed his career really fast.
Yeah.
Thankfully, he followed it with Serpico, Godfather 2, Dog Day Afternoon, and everyone was like, all right, slow the fuck down, Al. But otherwise, I mean, he could have, vanished.
Yeah. Al Pacino, man. The guy's got a crazy, crazy, crazy career, and one of the best to do it for sure. He's in a class that I think only 10 or 15, people are in, and he's a part of it. Along with Brando and De Niro and those guys that just pop up in these movies like it's no big deal. So it's so fucking crazy. All right, let's do our awards. Let's do all four of these bad boys. Let's have some fun with it. Take as long as we need to, man. Let's talk about what we love. The Tarantino will be for the best quote of the movie. The Ennio Morricone will be for the best music moment. Incredible score in this film. The Philip Seymour Hoffman Award goes to the best performance. The Roger Deakins goes to the best scene or best moment of the movie because Godfather really puts the Deakins to the test. The Godfather has moments like the meatball, the meatball scene. That's a moment, right? But then we have full-on scenes that are like, holy shit, like hold on to your seat for 5 to 10 minutes because you're about to go for a ride. And I love that about The Godfather. It's almost like, the first 30 minutes is the wedding. And then we go to Los Angeles with Robert Duvall, with Tom, which is one of the coolest characters ever in movie history. And then we kind of, slowly, like there's like 20-minute segments. It's like episodic. It's like vignettes, like just fucking, it's so cool. How did they do this so seamlessly? Like it's just bonkers.
Yeah, it's a saga. It's a family saga that you are lucky enough to get to catch a glimpse of. That's what I always felt about it. Like, this is going to happen with or without you. So sit down and enjoy or fuck off.
Correct. Yes.
It doesn't need, The Godfather doesn't need us. We need The Godfather.
100%. I hold on to it. Without further ado, your Tarantino award. What does it go to?
Jesus. I don't think I've ever thought harder about these awards than I have with this movie. This took me a long time to narrow down. I had so many lines written down, but ultimately I had to go with one that was kind of a portent for things to come. And it's during the scene where Michael tries to buy out Mo Green, and Mo Green's like, no. You don't buy me out. I buy you out. And they have an argument. And then Fredo's like, Michael, you don't talk to Mo Green like that. And Michael tells Fredo, you're my older brother and I love you, but don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again, ever. And just looks him in the eye. And knowing what's going to happen in the next movie, like, Fredo, you should have fucking paid attention.
Yeah.
This is not baby brother anymore. This is the boss.
Mm-hmm.
And heart breaks my heart. But that was one of several I could have gone with. Oh my God. I love all this stuff with the producer guy and Tom Hagen just being like, well, let me tell you something, my Troutnick friend. Like, just what a prick.
Yeah.
I ain't no band leader. It's I love it.
And Tom's like, thank you for a lovely dinner. He's like, you'll see in the morning. Yeah. It's so good.
I had written down when Michael says to Sonny, like, I'll kill them both. When he decides he's going to be the one to do it. And he tells Tom, like, it's not personal, Tom. It's strictly business.
Yeah.
I had that written down for a long time.
Strictly business. Fuck
and the whole, I never wanted this for you, Michael. Like that whole line, that whole conversation. So many. Jesus Christ. This is one of the greatest screenplays ever written.
Yeah. I love stuff like just it's just movie shit. It's like when Marlon Brando's like, I drink more wine than I used to. You're like, this is the coolest shit ever. Just Marlon Brando just talking about how he's getting older, and he's like, I'm not as important as I once was. It's fucking, it's all falling down. Or the opening scene of this movie where we find out like why it's called The Godfather. He's like, oh my God, like this is insanity.
What have I done to make you treat me so disrespectfully?
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, I need you to eat something. Like, what? And Tom Hagen's just fucking sitting there in the chair, and Robert Duvall is just, his expressions in these movies are just pure gold. He's the X factor that like makes these movies work. The outsider that got picked up when he was a kid. Just brilliant. Yeah, I love that bit. I love the Mo Green scene. Fucking when I'm Mo Green, and his glasses are perfect. Like his look. Of course, this guy would be a Vegas fucker, and he's like, I love the line. You don't buy me out. I buy you out. It's such a well delivered line. Yeah.
And then Michael just fires back with like, your casino's not making money. We can do better. And he's like, fuck you.
Yeah. I love the underlying stuff when he's talking to Kay at the wedding, and he's explaining to her, like, he's like, this is my family, it's not me, and it's just like, oh man, 2.5 hours later. Yeah.
Every time I watch this movie, I have different feelings about Diane Keaton. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, she got trapped, but other times I'm like, you knew exactly who these people were when you accepted that proposal. Like, you were attracted to the danger, you were attracted to the power. So don't you act all innocent in Godfather 2.
Yeah. Like, she's putting in a shift in these movies though. She's amazing. God damn.
So many people before they hit it big were just peppered throughout The Godfather. And I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. It just goes to show just how powerful the movie is, that at the time it was the highest grossing film. And now it's even better 50 years later than when it came out. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's gotten even better because of who these people have become. It's ridiculous. My favorite character is Sonny. I don't think James Caan is putting in the best performance of the movie. Like, he's not going to get my PSH, but he's my favorite. I think the trope of, I think this is where the middle child thing started. I think how when people are like, oh, you're the middle child, it's like, your parents probably don't care about you as much. I think started with The Godfather, started with Fredo. And you got Sonny, Fredo, and Michael. And you got the daughter too, but as far as the sons who are like up to be the heir of this whole operation, Sonny is such an awesome oldest brother who's like, doesn't have really anyone to look up to except for his dad, and his dad looks at him like, you fucking crazy animal. He looks at him that way. And Michael has Fredo. Okay, don't do what Fredo's doing. Do what Sonny's doing, but turn it down to like from 11 to like 6. And I love that about these three brothers. I also have brothers I like really relate to like that aspect of it. Sonny Santino, he's the wild card. He's the crazy one who will beat the shit out of you if you look at him the wrong way. And one of my favorite scenes is when he fucks Carlo up in the street, when he's just throwing the trash can on him, kicking him, the fucking like fire hydrant goes off, and there's just water. It's just such a like brilliant scene. And I was reading that scene took 4 days to shoot. So this guy just got stuff thrown at him repeatedly by James Caan, who's already a tough guy to deal with on set. But I love James Caan. I've always thought his career is so fascinating. He's in some movies that I adore, including, of course, this. So my Tarantino goes to a bit between him and Michael. It's when Michael's like so pissed about McCluskey, about Sterling Hayden punching him in the face, which Sterling Hayden, genius casting. I mean, that's a guy who's already a star who's like, let's put him in there for like, I don't know, he's got like 10 or 15 minutes of screen time, but they're really important, you know, and they really jolt what Michael's going to become, you know, when he realizes like everybody's corrupted, I have to be corrupted, is like it's a big moment in his arc. And I love when he kind of goes to, you know, Sonny, and he's like, this guy needs to be fucked up, you know, this cop is he's fucked up. He's crooked. And Sonny's like, hey, what are you going to do? Nice college boy, huh? Didn't want to get mixed up in the family business, huh? Now you want to gun down a police captain. Why? Because he slapped you in the face a little bit? Ha! What do you think? This is the army where you shoot him from a mile away? No, you got to get up close. Bada bing. You blow their brains all over the nice Ivy League suit. Come here. And then he kisses Sonny on the head. And Michael's like, Sonny. And Sonny goes back and he says, you're taking this very personal. And he looks at Robert Duvall. He looks at Tom. He's like, Tom, this is business. And this man is taking it very, very personal. It's just like, dude, I would need him in my life. If I was in any kind of life like this, I would need him there, because it's like, he yes, there's a lot of tension built up within him, but he also takes it away sometimes. Like Sonny is the leader that I would want to follow, even though he's nuts. I would run through a wall for him. And so I think like a world where Sonny does become the Don is a fascinating one to think about. But you know, he has a brutal death that he kind of walked into. So I fucking love what James Caan's doing in this movie.
That's a great pick. I love that scene, because everyone's like, shut the fuck up, Michael. You're not gonna do anything. You're the innocent one. You know, your baby brother. You're not gonna do anything. And he's like, no. I have a plan. I will kill them both. And you both know I'll do it. And at that point, I love the turnaround when they're like, oh shit.
And I love that Clemenza's like, okay. He like sees it in his eye. He sees, oh, this guy killed fuckers overseas in World War II. Let's let him get a chance. Because he's a civilian, right? He's, you know, McCluskey, these, you know, the Tatalias, they all see him as, no, he's not really a part of this big game that we're playing. He's not in it. So it was such a genius call to have him make two massive kills. And that scene, my God, you know, the gun in the bathroom when he finds it, and it's got the tape around it, and he just fucking blows both their brains out. And you're like, there's Michael. Michael has become Michael. You know, he's becoming Michael right now in front of our eyes. And it's such a great bit. To me, that's when the movie turns to like, okay, like you're already really into it. And then you're like on the edge of your seat from the rest. That's like halfway through the movie. The next hour and a half, you are on the edge of your seat the whole time. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. I love the tension there where it's just like, are they going to find out? Like, are they going to find something? Is he going to be able to pull this off? Like the first time you watched it, you're like, are we going to lose Michael here? Like, is this going to be fucked up? But no, it's like, this is maybe the most important moment of his ascension. I love all of this. One of the lines I considered was very, very simple. It was when Johnny Fontaine shows up at the wedding and is like talking to Vito, and he's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, I'm not going to get this job. It's going to take my career, and I don't know what to do. And he starts crying, and Vito just jolts upright, smacks him, and says, you can act like a man.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that shit. Yeah.
Oh, then he just starts mocking him.
So good. I love that line. You can act like a man. Brando just loses his mind. And I love when Vito's hair, you know, because it's like this perfect slick back, you know, he's distressed when it starts to kind of come to the sides a little bit. You know, he's fucking like, what is wrong with the world? I thought there was order.
Yeah, when he's talking to the five families and he's like, how did it come to this?
Oh, and, man. I'm not a superstitious man.
I like Jesus when he's like, if my son should be hurt in any way, if he should be struck by a bolt of lightning, I'm going to blame some of the people in this room, and that I will not forgive. Like, oh. It wasn't until right now that I realized it was Bazzini. So good. Fucking hell. Yeah, there's so many. Yeah, we could, I mean, every fucking 5 minutes there's something that's like worth talking about. It's why it's what it is.
The Ennio Morricone. This one was tough.
This is one of the most iconic film scores of all time. I find it really funny that Nino Rota's nomination was revoked because he'd reused some score from another film of his, and then he would win it for Godfather 2 using pretty much the same score, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I guess the rules changed. But for me, nothing beats the opening credits.
Yeah, same. I chose the same thing because it's like that's like why we do what we do. You sit down and you watch so many movies, and sometimes you're like, oh, you're looking at your phone, you're fucking distracted or whatever. But when that music starts, when you hear that brass, you're like, it's over. It's over. Everything else can fuck off. I'm in The Godfather.
Black screen, pure trumpet, and you're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And just Mario Puzo's The Godfather. It's like, okay, I'm in for an experience.
Yes. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. I wrote that down right away. I do love, I couldn't find what the piece is called. I love the kind of old Hollywood jam that's playing when Tom goes to Los Angeles. It's way different than the rest of the score. It's kind of fun and upbeat. And you're like, what is this? Yeah. I think that stuff with Tom Hagen is so important to how this movie moves after that first essentially 30 minutes at the wedding, where it's like you're watching a documentary. The first 30 minutes, you're like, this is like a real fucking wedding it feels like a real family. And then you go to Tom Hagen and it's like, okay, this is a gangster movie. Like there's a guy that just chopped off a stallion's head that's worth like 80 grand. Like, fuck yeah, and the music that played,
I think it was like 600 grand. That was
okay. Yeah. I 80 grand, it might be, I feel like in 1945, 600 grand's a lot. It's a lot of motherfucking money.
That's Hollywood.
Yeah.
I love the kind of bit of horror-esque score we get when he wakes up in the bed with a fucking horse. Real horse head, by the way, which is really fucked up. I guess I didn't tell him, which is why he freaked out being covered in real horse blood, as you would.
Yeah.
But yeah, iconic scene. Some other great music. I love the kind of subtle score that's playing when Michael's at the baptism and has his entire roster of enemies gunned down. Today I settle all family business.
Yeah, I don't. Just when you think the movie's ending, we get maybe the best 10 minutes in movie history with that montage of death and the baptism and like prayer. You're like, this is just genius. It's
Michael renounce Satan, and then cut to him, one of his enemies getting shot in the eye.
Yeah, Mo Green getting blasted while he's getting a massage. Beautiful, beautifully done. This is why we watch movies.
Amazing.
Yeah, fucking hell, man. Yeah, this score is bonkers good. But that theme, you can't beat it. You can't beat that feeling you get when you start something and you're already there. So many movies will start with, good theme or a bit of, needle drop, little soundtrack, little fucking, whatever. This movie's like, we're gonna go ahead and pull our best punch right now, and you're gonna see Marlon Brando now. He's not gonna show up 30 minutes in the movie. He's gonna show up now, already talking to people like they're fucking ants, and you're home free. It's just like this movie just allows you to just enjoy all 3 hours, which is such, it's like a blessing. This movie, it's like from the gods. And Godfather. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Great shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Philip Seymour Hoffman Award. What is it, Brando, for you? Is it like kind of a hands down, like, all right, the Don, it's the Don, or does someone, Al Pacino or Robert Duvall, does someone kind of take over for you?
I flirted with a lot of possibilities here. I wrote down a few people. I had James Caan in certain scenes. I had Al Pacino in certain scenes. I had to be honest with myself. I know it's pretty predictable, but it is Brando.
Same here. Yeah.
He didn't have to go as hard as he did. He could have just phoned his way through this. He had the cue cards. He was Brando already. He didn't have to give a fuck. But even in his default setting, he's one of the greatest of all time. It's so effortless for him. Like, even when he doesn't care, he cares by accident. I mean, there's scenes like when he's like sobbing over Sonny's body. You know, I don't want his mother to see him like this. Like that is a masterclass performance, especially when Tom tells him that Sonny's dead. That's the scene that did it for me when Vito collapses.
Yeah, that fucking hell, that's some good writing and that's some good delivery from them too. I love this relationship between those two, between Tom and Vito. And he's like, you had to have a drink before you tell me what you're going to tell me.
Yeah.
You've had your drink, you know? And it's just, you know, what's coming, but the delivery, it's like so worth that patience and that like the thought that's put into what's happening in that scene, and the delivery from Brando is remarkable. And I love when he's like, he says, call Bonacera, you know, I need him now.
Yeah.
Because he needs him to kind of fix Sonny back up to where, like, when he's in his, you know, he's in his fucking casket, his coffin, he doesn't look so shitty because he just got fucking blasted by 45 gunshots. So, God, that scene is amazing. I almost picked that for my Deacons. That bit between Vito and Tom is like, fuck. It's fucking exhausting. It's so good.
Yeah, I get why he won. I also get why he, you know, refused to accept it and all the unfortunate, you know, what went down with all that. But he is amazing in this movie. He is the Godfather. He's, you know, even though this is really Michael Corleone's story, Brando is the face of this franchise. Like when you think of the Godfather, you think of Vito Corleone on the day of his daughter's wedding.
Yeah, I agree. And that's powerful when you're in one movie. Three. And dude, it's your trilogy. Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to say what I was about to say because it kind of walks over my Deacons, but I'll get there. Yeah, great performance.
Okay, yeah, we'll get to it in a second. I think recognizing Brando is like what we should do here, and I think talking about him is so worthwhile, especially on Oscar Sunday. He was nominated for the first time in 1951 for A Streetcar Named Desire, and then a year later for Viva Zapata, and then a year later for Julius Caesar, and then a year later for On the Waterfront. 4 in a row. Unheard of. You know, that does not happen. He won for On the Waterfront. The movie won Best Picture. It is a lights out performance from him. He changed acting forever in the 50s. Yeah. 1957, he's nominated again for Sayonara. And then he has a huge gap. Not huge, but 15 years where the 60s were odd for him. He was making kind of interesting decisions. And I'd say, what's that 1962 movie that he was in? Mutiny on the Bounty. He was in that 1962. That's a good movie, good performance, but that's really the only thing that's noteworthy from the 60s of his. He's got some gems, but there's nothing like, whoa, you got to see this Brando performance. And then Godfather in 1972, and he wins. And then same year, 1972, is that it says Ultimo Tango? It's a Last Tango in Paris.
Yeah,
which is a movie I own and still haven't watched. Same. Because I'm waiting to do it on this show.
Well, I know it's going to be a hard watch because of what the movie's about and what happened on the set. So that's going to be a one and done situation. So I'm waiting for
waiting for the right time, right, where we can both watch it together and kind of be there for each other. Like, hey man, it's okay, you know, it's gonna be all right. You're gonna be okay. And that was his second to last nomination. And then there's a 17-year gap. And then 1989, A Dry White Season, he's nominated for supporting actor. Everything else is best actor in a lead role. Every other nomination. And with that resume and the 2 wins, he just and the 2 wins are not just 2 wins. It's On the Waterfront and Godfather. It's 2 movies that are must see. They're absolute must sees. Like damn near perfect movies that both won Best Picture, that are worth your time, not just because of those accolades, but because they're amazing stories. and he's at the forefront of both of them, and he won for both of them. It's kind of like Daniel Day-Lewis, right? Where Daniel Day-Lewis wins for My Left Foot and There Will Be Blood, and Lincoln, and is also for Gangs of New York. He's not just nominated. These movies matter. They're worth all of your time. There are nominations and there are wins that give people an argument against the Oscars. Well, I would say that these are arguments for the Oscars, why they do matter, why they do have some sort of substance to them. I mean, they got it right with Marlon Brando. These movies are incredible, and he is the best part of almost all of them. And that's really saying something, the guy's just a freak of nature, and he's not. Where's Apocalypse Now? It's not even here, and that's the kind of guy he is. We've talked about, Day-Lewis and Nicholson and De Niro and Pacino, these different guys that they just stack them on top of each other to where some of their best stuff isn't nominated or, isn't here, or it got missed, or it didn't quite have the cultural significance at the time it came out type thing. That's where Brando's at. He's in that category of just across the board, this guy fucking kicks ass.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. He, like you said, he changed acting in the 50s. I mean, prior to him kind of exploding onto the scene, I'd say the big superstar, in terms of like respected actor, was Laurence Olivier, who was just Shakespearean and over the top and, theater guy. But Brando brought this humanizing everyman, like doing what we all feel, but nobody's saying quality to characters that I don't think anybody had seen before. And especially with On the Waterfront and Streetcar, where he's just like the guy, in the sweaty t-shirt, trying to make things right, trying to do things, live life the way he was told to live it. And people responded because this was new. This was like, who is this guy? What is he? I'm feeling something here. I'm feeling a response to this. And the fact that like 50 years later, we still have that's an amazing talent.
Insane. Yeah. God, completely bonkers. And what's funny about you bringing up Laurence Olivier is that they're literally, they're rivals and they're polar opposites. And I'm always going to side with Brando.
What I've seen from Olivier, I have not gotten on the bandwagon. I don't see it. I guess he's good theatrically, but I'm not enjoying the films or the performances. Whereas Brando, I feel like, is reliable for a solid picture.
Yeah, he's the movie guy, and Olivier's the stage guy who's like going to bring that like you said, those theatrics onto the screen. And Brando's like, let me just play this character.
Well, even when Brando did Shakespeare, I was in. Like, I liked Julius Caesar way more than I liked Hamlet or Henry V. Like, yeah, I got it. I mean, I didn't think it was amazing, but I thought he was fucking great.
Oh yeah, he has that one speech that he does. Yeah, lights out. Yeah. It was worth watching that movie for a few moments from Brando. That's the kind of guy. That's the kind of fucker we're talking about here. Like he's so powerful, and I any chance we get to talk about a guy like this that means this much to us and to just the conversation at large, we're going to take some time to talk about them. And we haven't really gotten to talk about him in a long time. So this feels right. I'm glad we both picked him because I think it's the right pick. I think he definitely wins the movie. And there's the gap where he's in the hospital and he's like not in it. And when he comes back, you're like, oh yeah, he's the Don. Like he's the fucking man. And I love when he realizes that Michael's the one who made those kills. Like that's his first question when he comes back home and he's laying in bed and he's like, well, who did that? He's like, well, his son. He's like, well, it was Michael. And he's like, oh God.
Yeah. Michael has to go to Italy for a year and, hide, which is an interesting part of the story that really doesn't come up again until part 3.
Yeah. That's right. It really, it shouldn't work when he goes to Italy. It shouldn't work, but I don't know why it does. It gives him the stuff with Apollina when she dies. It gives him this jolt of like, I don't give a fuck. It gives him like a gangster type.
Yeah.
fuck everybody. I don't trust a goddamn soul. And it hardens him. It really hardens him. You know, this is a guy who's been to war. He's hardened enough. And then you do this to someone that he got married to. Now it's game time. Now I'm going back to New York City and I'm going to fucking destroy anybody I can.
Yeah.
And, you know, then you get Godfather Part 2.
Yeah. And he marries Kay, not for love, not because he missed her. He needs a son to further the Corleone family line. That's the whole reason he's with her. We find out that in Part 2, and she's like, I aborted your baby. And he's like, get the hell out of here. But again, not about to. As much as I want to start talking about too, I will not.
Yeah. The segue is so perfect to sometimes, but yeah, we'll stay here. All right. So we both got Brando. Now here's the Roger Deakins Award, the best scene in the movie, most rewatchable, best, whatever you want to call it. What do you got?
This changed while we were talking.
Wow.
Like,
okay.
That's how
I love that. I love that.
So constantly evolving to the point where I'm like, I was still thinking about it up till about 5 minutes ago. And then I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going with. To me, it's the scene when they're in the hospital and Michael tells Vito, I'm here for you. Like, I'm yours, Pop. Like, basically pledging his loyalty to the family. And Vito just one tear in his eyes. And he's just like, no, it's not the last thing I wanted to happen in this world was for you to get mixed up in all this. But here we are. There's no going back now. And I love that the music playing, Vito's tear, Michael's determination to do right by the family. It's amazing. And it's, to me, the definitive turning point where it's like Michael Corleone is on a new path now. That's mine.
God, what a great moment. What a great, I really believe that they're father and son.
No, it's crazy.
Pacino and Brando, they've got to be related. I'll have it no other way. They just make sense. I chose a scene between them. It's the scene at the last scene together in the garden is my favorite, and it's just cinematic as fuck. It's when we've hinted at it a few times. It's when Vito's like, I didn't want this for you, and the way the conversation goes is such a raw and honest and realistic conversation where he's talking about, I didn't used to drink this much wine. And then he's like, well, Pop, it's good for you. It's good for you to drink wine. And then he's like, yeah, maybe. And he's like, the wife and kid, they good for you. It's such a father-son, like jumping from one thing to the next. Like, let me check on my kid. Let me check on my dad. Let's get through this conversation together. We got this. And then he can't help it. Vito can't help but to talk about business. And he's like, Bazzini's going to come for you first. And he can't help it. He's like, this is my way of helping my son.
Yeah.
Is by warning him what's coming, warning him what's to come in the future, and to kind of pass the torch. And it's a torch passing scene. And also in that garden, I love when when Vito dies, when Vito is chasing around his grandchild and he has like a heart attack. It's like all that stuff in that kind of beautiful outdoor area. Like I want to hang out there. I want to fucking drink wine with Marlon Brando. It resonates with me so much as a movie fan of like, I would recognize that garden if I drove past it type thing. And I love it. For me, I wrote down that. And I never ever do this, but I wrote down or the baptism montage. I can't believe that's real. I can't believe that's a real montage of all these people dying within the 5 families. These people that have turned against Michael and against the Corleones and against their operation, and they're all dying while he's talking about, like we mentioned earlier, getting rid of sin and denying Satan. Like, oh my God, no, you are Satan. Like you're becoming a demon right now. It's just sometimes with movies, that stuff that's on the nose, it's the best stuff. And The Godfather understands that. It understands that sometimes less is more, and sometimes not showing a kill is just as good as showing it. And sometimes the simple route of what you think is going to be good on screen is the way to go. I love that about The Godfather.
My favorite bit of the baptism execution is when he goes to talk to Carlo and tells him straight up, Barzini's dead. So is Mo Green, Cuneo, Philip Titalia, and just watching Carlo freak out as he realizes everyone is dead. He's it. I love that.
Brilliant.
But yeah, those are amazing scenes. There's so many possibilities here. The scene with Michael and Vito in the garden is amazing. It's beautiful. I love Vito's reluctance to tell Michael what he wants to say. How he keeps bringing up other things to talk about because he's having a hard time telling him like it shouldn't have been you.
Yeah,
you were supposed to be better. You were supposed to be the best of us. You were going to be the senator, but it's over,
man. God, damn. And that ties in with the bit between Kay and Michael when Kay's like, senators and presidents, like, how could you be so naive? And he's like, me naive? Like, are you fucking kidding me? You know, like it's like this screenplay just intertwines and just kind of it's always there's always a message within the message. There's always more to each bit of dialogue, and it's going to come up. It's either going to come up again in this movie or in part 2. And like, man, that's masterclass stuff.
Truly. I also had the scene where Michael confronts Mo Green and straight up tries to buy him out, and Mo Green freaks out. I had that.
That's
yeah. I had the ending when Michael tells Kay, you know, don't ever ask me about my business, and like slams his hand on the desk and is like, all right, one time, one time, and then lies to her face. And then we see, you know, she walks out and his people walk up to him and say, you know, Godfather, and kiss his hand. And Kay's like, oh shit.
And then the door closes. Oh, that's such a good touch. Yeah.
I'll say one quick thing about part 2. I can't help myself.
Go for it. Go for it.
Clemenza, the actor who plays Clemenza, whose name escapes me.
I can find it real quick here.
Okay. Well, he was supposed to be in part 2. The character of Frank Pantangeli, played by Michael Vigazzo, was supposed to be Clemenza, but the guy who plays Clemenza turned it down, saying, my character would never rat on the family like that.
Ooh.
So they couldn't do it. They had to come up with a whole new character, Frank Pantangeli, who was great. But I love that the guy was like, I'm no rat. Even as a fictional character, he's like, no way.
Yeah. Richard Castellano.
Richard Castellano. That's
and yeah, Clemenza has some amazing bits. Like he's got some of the most like funny and like leave the gun, take the cannoli. Such a good bit. And when he's the recipe for like the food he's making, you can follow that. You can actually follow that. That's gonna like make real food. Like
no lie.
Food.
That is how my mom makes pasta sauce. That's the recipe.
Yeah. He's a genius, Clemenza. He's like, and you get your meatballs and your sausage.
I love when Sonny walks up. Is like, we stop this shit. We're trying to do business here.
Yeah. He's like, you know, when you got to, you might, you know, I love when he warns him, like, you might have to feed a bunch of hungry Italians one day. So this is how you do it.
God damn.
The one of the coolest scenes of the movie, because it shows the balls that this story has, is when Vito gets shot 5 times.
Yeah.
On Fredo's watch. And on Polly's watch, who's not there because he's sick, and then of course he gets fucking whacked. That's Marlon Brando. Like what we think, if you're seeing this for the first time, he's falling to his death in the middle of the street while he's trying to buy fruit. And movies don't do that. They don't fuck with their characters like that. Just like, oh, they're just doing normal shit and they're about to die.
During that scene, did you see the poster for the Jake LaMotta fight?
Oh, that's genius. No, I didn't.
8 years before Raging Bull came out, there is a poster on the fruit stand for a fight featuring Jake LaMotta versus some other schmo. But I love that that's in here. And Robert De Niro's career would get started by Godfather 2. Like, what are the odds?
Yeah. Oh, and like, obviously Scorsese is a a product of his environment here. He's
Well,
like,
they're buddies. Coppola,
yeah, I mean,
Scorsese, Spielberg, and Lucas all came up together.
yeah, like I'm gonna try to one up you here, man. I'm gonna try my hardest. He never has, but he's tried many times, and he's come close.
He has come very, very close.
Yeah, Goodfellas is close. I love Goodfellas. I think it's more fun, and it's a little bit shorter than The Godfather.
Not by much.
No, it is. I think Goodfellas is still like a good 2.5. But yeah, the OG, you just can't take it down. You can't take down the OG great American gangster film.
I do love in that scene though, you get to see Fredo's true colors, that he's a coward and he's not prepared.
He can't shoot the gun. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
He's not the guy who should be watching the Don. This is not, going to the fruit stand with dad. This is protecting the boss, and he can't do it.
Yeah.
And then we see Fredo again in part 2, and we see he's incapable of making the right decision. So many great moments, man.
You can say that again. John Cazale is amazing in these movies. Yeah, fuck, this is great. I feel like this is the most time we've ever spent on awards for a movie in an episode, but rightly so. It's the Godfather. Well, let's talk about some other movies too, compared to the Godfather, which is just kind of a fool's game. It's not happening. We like I said earlier in the show, we both watched all 5 of the Best Picture nominees from the 45th Academy Awards. Of course, that includes The Godfather. So there's also Cabaret, Deliverance, The Emigrants, and Sounder. So we both have ranked them 5-1. Connor, we'll start with your 5 and just kind of go down the line. I think we know where we're going with this, but it'll be fun to see what's 2 through 4.
Yeah, nothing was ever gonna
2 through 5. Sorry, 2 through 5.
Nothing was ever going to knock The Godfather off this pedestal. Let's be honest here.
I don't even know. Say Godfather and Jaws come out the same year and they're both up for Best Picture. Then I would be like, let me think. I would have to think.
I'm so glad the 70s like nominees are so spaced out like that, so I don't have to make that decision.
I have a heart. I love Chinatown with all I've got, that against, and I love Lenny with all of my heart too. Bob Fosse's movie, and I love Godfather Part 2. So like I love Kramer vs. Kramer, and I love Apocalypse Now, and I love all that jazz. The 70s is the GOAT decade of Oscar, of just the ceremony at large. There's so many amazing movies nominated from the 70s. Like they just had it right more often during that decade than the rest of Oscar history.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot. Whenever we're in the 70s, we just have this like, warm, cozy feeling. It's like, we're home. It's it's nice. Yeah. I've said many times, it's always been my favorite decade ever since I really got into this stuff,
I mean, the Best Picture winners are lights out from this decade. I love all of them. All of them. Well, Annie Hall is probably my least favorite, but it's a fine movie. It's a fine movie. And 77's got other shit to offer. And Rocky, Deer Hunter, Kramer vs. Kramer, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Godfathers, The Sting, French Connection, and Patton. Like I love these movies with all I've got. So yeah, this is home. But I do think this can be interesting because I do think overall I have 1, 2, 3 8s, a 9, and a 10 out of this group.
I have I got 3 6s, an 8, and a 10.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I know what I think we're gonna have the same one too. I think we'll see. Go ahead and take it away with your 5.
My number 5 is Deliverance.
Okay. And yeah, I know this upset you.
It was just so. It's not even the movie's fault. It's 100% mine because I had built up this image of this film in my head. I had built up this kind of adventure thriller, this fast-paced nightmare due to everything I'd heard about this movie. And this film is very much not that. It's a pretty low-key camping movie that has a couple incidents of pretty fucked up shit. But then goes back into being a camping movie. So
Yeah.
it's more about, man versus the wilderness and how, mistakes haunt you forever and all that shit. Like I get what it was trying to do. I think on a second or third watch, I'll appreciate it a bit more. But on a first watch, I was so mystified by what it actually was that I was really disappointed. So, but that's happened before. And then I'll watch a movie again with a new mindset and I'll be like, oh, okay, that's what this was supposed to be. And things will change. So next time I watch Deliverance, probably completely different experience.
God, I know exactly what you mean. That's happened on this show for sure. If I rewatch something with a different lens, it can change. I know I get it with Deliverance. I really like Deliverance, but I had seen it before. I've owned it for years. Me and one of my older brothers, we both dig this movie a lot, and so it's low. It's higher on my list. But I get it. It is a bit underwhelming for what you think you're gonna get. But yeah, I do think I remember I texted you. I was like, man, this movie's so good, and you're like, that was kind of boring. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, I was like, shit. But it's one. I saw my first taste with Deliverance was on Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments Countdown, where I saw Ned Beatty get squealed like a pig. So I thought the whole movie was this like Southern comfort vibe, man. City boys versus the wood folk in a fight to the death kind of thing, because that's what that program led me to believe the movie was. So if anything, it's Bravo's fault.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, that definitely plays a hand in kind of your expectations as a fan.
There are so many movies, so many horror films, so many random films from that show that I felt were not nearly as scary as that show built it up to be. I've had so many movies ruined by that fucking show.
Yeah. And just the shit you've seen, that we've seen. There's just way darker shit out there. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'll be talking about Deliverance here in a little while. My number 5 is Sounder. It is a Martin Ritt directed film about a black family growing up. Kind of about the kids, but also the parents and whatnot. Growing up the South Depression era, and I went into Sounder thinking this is going to be this tough, oh man, I thought it was going to be, just a lot of stuff you see in the 60s, 70s about the black experience. But I thought I was actually somewhat, what's the word? I don't want to, I know how I feel in my heart about this movie, but I don't know how to articulate it quite. I think a lot of those movies can be good and can be useful to learn about the history of our country. But I do think it's good to just have a movie about a family that happens to be black during a certain era. And I think that there's things here that happen in this movie that are just average and normal. And I liked that about this. I thought it was interesting how this movie kind of changed my view on like what this kind of a story can be from this era of filmmaking. There's the normal stuff, there's racism and shit like that. That's going to happen, right? There's the dad goes to prison for stealing food. But it's not like all right on the nose where it's like, oh my God, I've seen this so many times. These movies that are kind of like about slavery or what have you. This was more just like a family drama that just kind of comes and goes. It's not, I don't think it's anything spectacular, but I also think it's nice to have movies that are normal. You know what I mean? They're not these like, oh my God, we've covered movies like 12 Years a Slave where it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, like I would get why someone would be like, I would get why someone who's black in America wouldn't want to watch that movie. But I think Sounder is kind of a good change of pace from what we're used to as an American audience with quote unquote black films, So I thought it was kind of refreshing in a way. It had some of those tropes that we're used to, but it also was like, it's cool to just watch a kid and his dog, no matter what they look like. And I thought that was refreshing in a way. And I enjoyed the acting a lot. I thought Cicely Tyson was great. Paul Winfield is great. So I like this movie quite a bit.
Well, Sounder's my number 4, so I might as well get into it.
Perfect.
I I didn't really know what to expect from this. I didn't look up anything because I wanted to go in blind. But it felt like the entire movie was buildup.
Yeah.
To some kind of like the conflict didn't seem to exist. It was like dad went away to prison, but then he just wanders back home later and like everything's okay. You know, the kid befriends a school teacher who's going to teach him, and then we never see her again. The dog disappears and they think the dog might be dead, and then the dog just wanders back. It's like they never went, like it's like they played it so safe there was nothing to get into. So there was no meat. It was all just, it was all just bone.
Just stuff. Yeah.
So I wanted a more structured story. I wanted something to connect with. Even the racist white people, they have like one scene and then they just are never seen again. It's so weird. It's all just pieces of something. So I thought that I don't know why the film was named after the dog either.
Yeah. I didn't know until obviously started watching it. I was like, oh, that's why it's called Sounder. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, what is anybody gonna get out of this movie? It felt like a TV movie of the week.
That's totally fair. It's not a Best Picture movie. It's not.
No, not at all. I get the performance nominations, but this never should have been in Best Picture.
I totally agree. Yeah, I think Cicely and Paul deserve some respect for what they're working with. But this is one of those prime examples of sometimes adapting a book straight up to a movie doesn't totally work.
Yeah,
Doesn't work.
Take the Godfather for example. I read the book in high school. There's an entire subplot about Sonny's huge dick.
Yeah,
and how there's no vagina on Earth that can handle that dick. But then there's this other lady who's like, my vagina is so big, there's no penis that can satisfy it. This takes up a good chunk of The Godfather.
Yeah. And they left that out.
Yeah, maybe cut that out.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes you got to trim the fat a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I think making those decisions is quite important. I have no problem with I don't know if I'll ever watch this movie again, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I watched it pretty late one night. It's on Tubi. This is the first movie I watched of this group. So I wasn't like blown away or anything, but I liked it though. And I think it's worth checking out. Just know that you're not going to get probably what you're thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I don't even know what I was thinking. Like just from the title alone, I'm like, what could this could be anything. But turns out it's the dog.
Yeah, it's Sounder, the dog.
Yeah.
All right, so that's your number 4.
Yeah.
Your number 5 is Deliverance. Your number 4 is Sounder. My 5 is Sounder. My number 4 is The Immigrants. 3 hour and like 20 fucking minute movie about a Swedish family going to Minnesota. Oh boy.
Eventually.
The last, at the end. Let's see. I don't really recommend this movie. For me as a fan, I thought it was gorgeous. Thought some of the cinematography, which is, this is a project that's pretty much all. I think his name's Jan Troell. I don't really know exactly how to say it. He's Swedish director. So he's making kind of a movie that's close to home, right? He's the film editor, he's the cinematographer, he's the director. He does everything with this movie. And it is beautiful. It's a breathtaking movie. There's landscapes in this movie that shouldn't be beautiful, but they are. And so you can see that there's like a real eye in this movie. And you can see how like important it is to him as a creator, as a storyteller. But man, it does not need to be this long. It just does not need. It really needs 2 hours, not 3. I mean, you could cut a whole hour. I think I'm with you. I think the first, whatever half or longer than half in Sweden is not as interesting as the stuff when they get on the boat and start making their way to America. That's when tensions start to really rise and it gets really fascinating. But the performances are strong. I became a Liv Ullmann fan when I watched Autumn Sonata. She's alongside Ingrid Bergman in that movie, and they both are just fucking titans going at it. So I really like her. I think if I were to give like a Philip Seymour Hoffman out to that movie, I think I would give it to her. She's got a couple like outbursts that are fucking incredible. So if you, I don't know. I don't know why I don't recommend it. I just don't think it's worth all that time. And you feel it. You feel it, you know. And some of my favorite movies, you know, I love The Godfather. I love The Lord of the Rings. Magnolia is my favorite movie. These are 3-hour movies. They're worth it. They give you give you a lot of bang for your buck. The Immigrants does not really give you that back. You got to be in the right mindset, the right frame of mind to enjoy this movie. Yeah. And even then, I don't know, man. You know, I even then, I'm not sure. I give it an 8 because I think it's gorgeous. I think it's a breathtaking movie, and I think those two lead performances, Max von Sydow and Liv Ullmann, I think they're both incredible. And so I think it's worth that for me as a fan, but just a general audience member out there, I'm not quite sure it's worth your time.
I feel like if I recommended this to a friend, I would no longer have that friend.
There you go. That's a blunt way and great way of putting it.
3.5 hours. It better be the greatest movie of all time. And this is very much not. This is my number 3. I have this above Sounder and Deliverance because there was a moment in The Immigrants where I reacted, where I was like, oh shit. Like, oh, that's not going to go well. Like I started feeling something for these people. And that was kind of amazing. I don't remember the last time that happened to me where I was like, I don't even fucking like this. And then it turned into, well, what's going to happen now? Like these people, I hope they're going to miss their boat. Like you started feeling something. So I gave it more points for that. But it's so selfish. Like it's very much a look at my art, bask upon my glory kind of filmmaking. And I don't like that.
Yeah. See, that's where I'm kind of like, okay, you got an ego. I'll see to it.
Yeah. It's like, I bet he watches this movie all the time.
He's like, look at what I did there with that waterfall. Yeah. Yeah.
And also this movie is the first 2 books of this series. So it's 2 books worth of film.
Yeah. And there's a sequel, the new land. And I own that now too. I don't necessarily want to own both of them. That one's even longer. That one's a flat 200 minutes. Like, okay, what's going on? The second one's longer than The Immigrants.
Whose favorite genre is Swedish family journeys? I don't get the audience here.
Yeah, I don't know. I do love. I think one scene that's great too is when Karl Oskar, Max's character, rest in peace to Max. He's fucking great. He's a legend. He when he finds out, I believe it's his younger brother who gets kind of like beat up, gets like whipped on the back by that farmer, that rancher that he's working for, and he's like on contract for like 2 years or whatever. He goes to that rancher and is like, don't you ever fucking touch my family again, you know? And he like puts him in the water. And I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a really good bit. Some of that family shit is good and it's cool. And it's got some intense conversations about pregnancy and about what are we leaving behind? What are we doing for our kids? That kind of stuff. But when it's up against a movie like The Godfather, it's like, come on. Like that stuff looks like pennies compared to, you know, full dollar bills for The Godfather. So
I did like one scene I liked was when they're getting on the boat to go to Minnesota and the daughter disappears. And mom is like, where is she? And they get off the boat and they're like, our other kids are on the boat. We got to go. And so they're like, they have to start making decisions. And then the lady they've been at odds with the entire movie shows up with their kid. And it's like, I found her on the beach. And Max just like gives her a handshake and is like, all is forgiven. You saved my kid. I was like, that was good. And she lit up and all was well. And it's like, all right, that's good.
I can dig that. Yeah.
And I still had another half hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, can this just end? And you know what's great is here's a movie about people from Sweden coming to America when it's like that wouldn't happen anymore.
No way. If anything, I'm trying to get to Sweden.
Yeah, exactly. And this movie, was it's a foreign film. So the year before, at the 1972, the 44th Academy Awards, it was up for Best Foreign Language Film, nominated. And then at the 45th Academy Awards, it's up for Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Director, and Best Screenplay. This happens all the time. Don't understand.
It's so weird. Like, just pick a year. Why do they got to do this?
Yeah,
it comes out when it comes out. It doesn't matter if it comes out in America.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you. It's like, I mean, just because the masses didn't see it until then, and were the masses really going to the theater to watch The Immigrants? Like,
no. And I also I do resent the fucking pain in the ass we had trying to get this. That didn't help.
Yeah, had to order it on Amazon, $20. Got here like literally a day later, and I still was like, I gotta watch that now.
Well, I mean, it was easier to get than Shanghai Express. I'll give you that.
But true, we tripped on that one. Yeah,
I know. But yeah, this was one I watched it yesterday and I don't remember a lot of it because a lot of this is just watching Swedish people farm.
Yeah.
And there's only so much that I can take before I lose my fucking mind. Like, turns out my cap is 2 hours, 3 hours. You don't want to talk to me.
That's brilliant. So The Immigrants is my number 4. Your number 3.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I was right. Our 2 and 1 are the same. Deliverance is my number 3. I do recommend this movie. I do think it's really good, and I understand your qualms with it. I totally get it, and it fucked with your expectations. I understand that,
but I'm not going to blame the film for
that. I really like this for a few reasons. Jon Voight, holy shit, fucking amazing performance. Burt Reynolds, Jesus Christ. Ned Beatty, God bless your soul. Rest in peace to Ned Beatty. That guy was a rock star. He's appeared in a lot of movies that a lot of movies, random movies that I adore. He shows up in and knocks it out. He's great in this. I'm one of those people that likes the long bits where I'm just watching these 4 guys canoe. Because I for whatever reason relate to that. Like I get it. And I feel like I can put myself in their shoes very easily. I think this movie is very inclusive to its audience. It's one of those classic, what would you do? Same thing as A Simple Plan, where it's like, you found all this money with 2 other people. What are you going to do about it? With Deliverance, you guys have a body on your hands. What are you going to do about it? You're on this river. You don't really know exactly where you're going. You might be lost. What are you guys going to do about it? And they all kind of take different routes, and Jon Voight, who once was friends with Burt Reynolds and is just along for the ride, becomes the leader of what they're going to do. And, we have one guy who's like, fuck this shit, and just jumps out the canoe and is like, I want to die because I don't want to deal with the repercussions of what we're about to encounter. I love the stuff at the end with the sheriff and him just knowing they're lying. He just fucking knows they lied, but he's got no evidence. I love Jon Voight, Ned Beatty, their bits, Ed and Bobby. I love their bits going back and forth on what their story is, what they need to stick with. If they don't believe us, who cares? As long as we stay consistent, we got this. And Ronnie Cox plays Drew, the guy who basically decides to kill himself. I love all 4 of these characters. I love the kind of character study that it has with all 4 of them. And I really like the way it's shot. I really like the way this movie looks. And also, just like The Immigrants, a breathtaking movie, filmed on location on a river, and they spent very little money on this and made a lot back. And I love those those gambles. Like, let's make a small movie, see what happens, and it ends up being this big hit. Gets up for Best Picture, and John Boorman's up for Best Director. I love a story like that with movies. And as for that infamous scene, it's fucking frightening. And makes you so angry. These two hillbilly motherfuckers just doing what they're doing to Ned Beatty and what they're about to do to John Voight. You want them dead. You want them to die. And because of what they do, because of how nasty they are, because like these despicable human beings. And so seeing Burt Reynolds come in with a bow and arrow, fuck yeah, and then that showdown between John Voight and the other hillbilly, the toothless man, whose the actor's name is Herbert Cowboy Coward. Awesome. So awesome.
Yeah, they were all like real hillbilly mountain dudes because they were cheap.
Yeah, exactly. They spent like under $1 million on this movie, and look what happened. It's awesome. And that showdown between when John Voight's on the rocks, and like could have lost his fucking life filmmaking, doing this scene. I love when he is kind of disoriented, doesn't know what's going on. He's like, oh shit, I actually hit it. I actually, like, my shot was on. And then, he's trying to bring the body down and he falls into the water and the body is like almost hugging him. Fucking weird and frightening. And the score, a lot of the music is banjos, and then it's dueling banjos. And then all of a sudden it goes to like synthesizers. It's like heavy 70s, 80s, like, intense thriller music. And I love those touches. I also like how it doesn't prolong its stay. It's like an hour and 45 minutes. Doesn't need to be any longer. And you get a movie and you get out. It's just a good, entertaining piece of filmmaking. And so I've always liked it. I've owned it for a long time. This movie's on. No, I had to rent it because my DVD wasn't working. I've had this DVD for like 13, 14 years.
Mine also didn't work.
Whoa.
It wouldn't play in my PlayStation. I had to use my region free, and even then it was skipping the whole time.
Whoa.
So yeah, I wonder if
mine wouldn't even load like on my DVD player. I just watched The Immigrants on it the night before.
Yeah. Nothing was wrong with the machine. I use it all the time.
Yeah. I use it weekly and sometimes nightly. And Deliverance wouldn't work, so I was like, fuck it, I'll spend the $3 and rent it on Amazon. Because it's not on any other service that I have. I don't think it's on any service, period. But it has been. It is an accessible movie, it's not hard to find. But that's really interesting. Yeah, I've had this. I got it when it was CD exchange when I was like in middle school. I still have the price tag on it. It was $7.99 at CD exchange on 281 in Bitters. I've had it forever. So I thought it was just old. But I looked at the back of it. I was like, I've kept this in good condition. Like, it looks fine. So I wonder, maybe we just found something out about Deliverance.
Maybe the DVD, I guess maybe we both got ours in the same batch that was like defective from the factory or something. But even then, it worked on my region free. Like, I don't know. That's very strange. Yeah,
very bizarre. Very, very bizarre. But hey, I like the movie. It's my number 3, and pretty clearly my number 3. 5 and 4, they're good. They're good for like personal reasons, but I don't really recommend them like to just anybody. But Deliverance, I do recommend.
I'm gonna have to watch it again. Maybe we'll make it a Filmgazm in the fall or something, just so I can watch it with a horror movie mindset. Maybe that'll change. Maybe if I'm watching, because I watched it with an Oscars mindset here. Maybe if I watch it with that mindset, I'll find something new about the movie.
Yeah, and maybe if you find a thing that's not jumping,
Also maybe if I find a version of the film that actually, doesn't take me 2.5 hours because it kept skipping through.
Yeah, that could be it. You never know.
I tend to project whatever's wrong with like the situation onto the movie. I'm noticing that.
Oh, that's great. I love that. What an interesting ride we both had with Deliverance. So our number 2 is Cabaret.
Yes.
Yeah, which is a great movie. Fucking hell, Bob Fosse was awesome in the 70s. This dude, Cabaret, he had. This is a risky decision to let him make this movie, and it just became a fucking hit. Got 10 Oscar nominations, won 8. Just destroyed its competition here. And had it won Best Picture, it would be one of the most, winningest best picture movies of all time. And it's not nearly as good as The Godfather, but man, this is a best picture movie. I do think this belongs in a best picture category, and I really enjoyed it. I had seen it years ago. I didn't quite understand it; kind of went over my head. This time, I was like, man, the love triangle thing is really interesting. But what's most fascinating is the fantasy of going away to some place because the world is fucked up. I love that aspect of it, going to the cabaret. But I also love the subtle hints of Nazi Germany is coming.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. It was like a frightening undertone of the movie that I thought was really well done. Because, we've seen so many German movie, around, 30s, 40s, where it's like every Nazi is a fucking shithead and they all suck and all of them should go to hell and stuff. This one's like, here they are as people just going to do stuff. And like they're sprinkled throughout the movie. And I was like, I haven't really seen that before.
Well, I liked how every time we went to the cabaret, there were more Nazis. There was like a couple more.
Slowly but surely.
This movie does a great job showing, like, because a lot of people forget, like, the Nazis didn't invade and conquer Germany. They were voted into power. Like, they became a legitimate political party that people responded to, and they voted Hitler in. And this is how. They were just, handing out anti-Jewish propaganda and winning people over. And that evolved into the Nazi Party. And that evolved into Nazi Germany and World War II. But it had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I've never seen a movie show that part of the Nazis' ascension. And I was very into that.
Me too.
But also it's delightful. Liza Minnelli
Jesus.
God, I saw Judy so many times.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I was like, wow. It's like she was possessed by her mother's ghost. It was fucking scary at times, man. Their voices are the same.
Yeah, Liza, this is one of the best actress lead roles I've ever seen.
Yeah, I love that character. Just so emotionally fractured, but refusing to let it break her. Just embracing the incredulity of life, the absurdity of existence, and just being like, life sucks for everybody, so have fun. Like, yeah. What difference does it make? We're all going to the same fucking place, so enjoy your time here. And just, having to make some fucking horrible, tough decisions. And, like, for example, when she does get the abortion, like, you have mixed feelings because you're like, yeah, it was like she had a hard time making that decision, but also like he was counting on having their child. And it's like, what do you do with that situation? I don't know. And I thought, they broke up. They're like, we can't handle this. And I love that Michael York is also, he's bisexual. You never saw that in films back then. That was ballsy.
Yeah. Liza Minnelli and Michael York sleeping with the same man is like in 1972. In 1972 is like, even now, like that's just incredible stuff. And yeah, man, I fucking dig this movie. I really dig it.
I love when he's just like, screw Max. She's like, well, I do. And he's like, so do I.
Yeah.
And they just have this this moment.
Wait, you too? Yeah. Max, that's the fucker we should be mad at. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's entertaining because you just don't see at the time, you don't see a lot of characters as a lot of female characters as free spirited as Sally Bowles. And I was very into that performance and I really liked her. And yeah, I get why, and the cabaret scenes, of course, Joel Grey, holy hell.
Jesus.
What a marvelous performance. Just the master of ceremonies at a cabaret in pre-Nazi Germany. Of course I'm going to watch that.
Yeah. Yeah. He was amazing.
Yeah. The musical numbers were great. Fosse's direction was on point. I liked this one a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah. I'm glad. I was nervous about this because I knew I knew, I love Fosse. I love Lenny. I love all that jazz, and Cabaret's maybe his best of those. Yeah. This movie kicks ass, and I totally get why it got the recognition that it did back in the 70s. And I think it's a must see now. Just how different it is compared to its peers. And the performances, man. I mean, Liza Minnelli, Joel Grey, Michael York, these people are putting in work, And Liza, not only does, the Judy Garland thing being her mom and whatnot, and I love what you said about her being a free spirit. There's just something about her that it's like, I cannot look away. I cannot turn my head when she's on the screen. She has a superstar quality that is just rare to find. I think a lot of people work really hard for it. I think a lot of people work to look a certain way. She just is, she's not a conventionally, attractive looking woman in the eyes of general culture. But there's something about her that you can't stop watching her, and she's just shining so bright in this movie. Even if this was all she had, Liza Minnelli would be a fucking mega star, but she has a lot of other shit. Now I'm curious. She has my attention. I want to watch more Liza Minnelli performances. That's mainly what I took out of this. Was okay. You got me. Like, I'm here. I'm all eyes. I'm all ears. I will pay attention to more of your stuff. And it made me even more sad about how they treated her at the most recent Oscars. Just, that was really fucked up.
Yeah, the less said about that whole situation, the better.
Yeah.
But
fucking stupid.
Yeah, Liza is a national treasure who had a similar trajectory to her mother in terms of, everything that went down during her career. But I think that I'm sure at times might have used her mother's story as a cautionary tale and tried to live up to her, like, not standards, but like her example.
Yeah, her stardom.
In terms of, showmanship and the show must go on and all that. And I respect that, and I love that, and I'm glad I finally saw this film.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely one to kind of cross off proudly. Yeah. Okay. Cabaret is a 70s classic. All right. And I will be buying this movie, and I will be watching it again. It's one of those. I love when that happens. Bob Fosse, man. Fuck yeah. Love that guy. He's the guy. He's the only one who could rival Godfather this year. It's funny. And number one is obviously Godfather for both of us. This is one of the most obvious, just as obvious as Silence of the Lambs in 1991. That year I do love JFK, but it's like, come on. Come on. What are we doing? Same exact story with Cabaret and Godfather. Really respect Cabaret, but come on. There's just it's like what Jules says in Pulp Fiction when he's talking about, it's not in the same ballpark.
It's not even the same fucking sport.
Yeah, it's not even the same league. It's not even the same fucking sport. Yeah, it's just not. And that's okay. That's okay. We're not all the Godfather, and that's why it's so special. So obviously,
if every movie was the Godfather, no movie would be special.
Yeah, exactly. And that's impossible to all be as good as that. There's got to be those shitty movies so we can appreciate this stuff. Yeah. So your number 5 is Deliverance.
Yes.
Your number 4 is Sounder.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, The Immigrants. Number 2, Cabaret. Number 1, The Godfather.
Yep.
All right. And my number 5 is Sounder. Number 4, The Immigrants. Number 3, Deliverance. Number 2, Cabaret. Number 1, The Godfather. All right. Yeah, those. Not the best group for a 2-year anniversary, but we do have The Godfather to talk more about. We have a bunch of categories we want to go through before we get out of here and move on with our lives. So why not talk more about The Godfather, and maybe if it should have won more stuff, because it only won 3, and I think most people would say it should have won 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Who knows? So we've already done Best Picture. Let's kind of go back down to the bottom though, and kind of talk about some, I don't want to say lesser categories, but lesser known or not as popular. Let's do Best Sound.
Sure.
Yeah, Best Sound. Let's do Best Sound. This would be one of the ones Cabaret won. Cabaret, the winner. Butterflies Are Free, The Candidate, The Godfather, and The Poseidon Adventure. I almost watched The Poseidon Adventure because it's got Gene Hackman in it, and I love me some 70s Gene Hackman. but I couldn't get around to it. I think it's on HBO Max. No, it's on Criterion right now. It's on Criterion. So yeah, I need to see that movie. It's up for a few awards here. And like I said, Gene Hackman's in it. So, but this is best sound. I think we're both in the same boat here. We've seen Cabaret and Godfather.
Yeah, and I think obviously, go with the musical. I mean, working with sound, you need to. The sound has to be pristine for a musical to work. So I always give the edge to the musical because I feel like they're doing more with it. So I give this to Cabaret.
Yeah, same here. The Candidate is a movie I think we both need to see. It's a It's got Robert Redford and Peter Boyle starring in it. Michael Ritchie directed. It's a political movie. So Robert Redford's the fucking man in the 70s, and I would love to see that movie. I've seen it pop up on different services. It's accessible, so one day I will knock that one out. Butterflies Are Free. Which one is this? What do we got? Goldie Hawn. Okay, Goldie Hawn, 1972 comedy drama movie based on the 1969 play. These don't really get me jazzed. Movies that are plays. It's very rare that I really like one of them. But Eileen Eckhart, she won Best Supporting Actress, so maybe one day.
Yeah, and then Poseidon Adventures one that's been on my list for a long time. I fucking love The Towering Inferno. So I'm into 70s disaster porn. I think that's the best era of disaster movies because they weren't trying so fucking huge. They weren't blowing up the world every time. It was just, small stuff like a ship gets capsized or a building's on fire. And then you just hone in on the human drama within and you've got a really cool movie. So I'm sure the Poseidon Adventure is a fun watch.
Yeah. And it's got a crazy, crazy cast. So I would love to do that one. I think we're in the same boat there. All right, let's do, man, there's some massive categories here to talk about. Let's do costume design. I think that's probably next on the list here.
Okay.
Yes. Some of these categories are major here for The Godfather, which makes sense. Costume design. Where the fuck are you? All right. Travels with My Aunt won this award. Beat The Godfather. Lady Sings the Blues. The Poseidon Adventure, and Young Winston. Travels with My Aunt. Let's see. What do we got here? Okay, George Cukor movie starring Maggie Smith. Okay, I'm in. I don't need to know. I don't need to know anything else. Looks like a movie that would win costume design. Lady Sings the Blues. I feel like I've heard of this.
That is Billie Holiday biopic. Yeah. I really want to see that.
I would. Yeah, that's definitely both right up our alley. And Young Winston is Richard Attenborough. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Ooh. Robert Shaw. I'm in.
Yeah, Robert Shaw, Simon Ward, Anthony Hopkins, Anne Bancroft. Okay, yeah, all right. Jesus. Definitely in on that. All right, we're finding some good movies to watch here. Yeah. Costume design, all I've seen is The Godfather, so I can't really say.
Well, the costumes of The Godfather, it's suits. Suits are great, but do they deserve Oscars? I don't think so. Costume design for me is elaborate, unforgettable dresses and capes and shit, not 1940 suits. They look great, but I don't think they deserve an Oscar.
I don't understand why Cabaret is not nominated.
Yeah, there you go.
Got some great shit in that movie.
Yeah, Joel Grey's costume changes alone should warrant this a nomination, maybe the win. That's actually quite surprising. Most elaborate musicals get into this one.
Yeah, especially Cabaret, which already has 10. What's 11? Why not 11? Let's do best sound, best costume design. Let's move to film editing. Best film editing. This is one that Cabaret won. It beat Deliverance, Godfather, The Hot Rock, and The Poseidon Adventure. I would give this to The Godfather.
Yeah, considering what this film edits together, and that they've re-edited the film, all three films into a mini series at times. I think it's pretty cool what they can do with The Godfather. So yeah, but I get why Cabaret took it. Editing between the Cabaret and the real world and giving you this sense of fantasy is really cool. But I don't know, The Godfather's got the edge on it just because it's The Godfather for me.
Yeah, can't really argue that. It's remarkable stuff, and I think film editing is a good way of looking at how does this hold up over time? And I think Godfather has just simply gotten better. So yeah, that'd be my vote. But there's Poseidon Adventure again, and The Hot Rock. What is that? The Hot Rock, Peter Yates film. Robert Redford again. Okay. Comedy drama, crime comedy drama. It's okay. It's like a current. It's based in 1971. Sounds like it's about some guys robbing the Brooklyn Museum.
Ooh. Hot Rock.
Yeah.
I bet that means stolen diamond.
Yeah, I bet it does. The movie poster alone, Robert Redford looks great, so I'm totally in on that. I love Robert Redford, especially at this time. Now, here's an interesting fact about one of the categories that Godfather was initially in. You mentioned it earlier. The withdrawal from the original dramatic score category.
Yeah.
So if it had that, it'd be 11 nominations. Without it, it's 10. So we can't really go through that category because it Nino took stuff from previous work and put it in there. To me, that shouldn't matter too much. If it's your own shit, I don't think it should matter very much.
Dude, I got to deal with that in college all the time. I almost got in serious trouble for recycling one of my own essays, which is bullshit. I wrote it. You can't plagiarize yourself. That's not a thing. So yeah, I don't think it should count here. I think he should have been given the nomination.
Yeah, it's just not for me. Not my thing.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah, I think people do that all the time. Like, you think the Beatles didn't fuck with sounds more than once? Like, what? Like, come on, fucking dumb. And here they are. Still the Beatles. All right. So we basically skipped that one because it was replaced by Sleuth, which that's a movie. Michael Caine. We need to see that.
I found that on DVD. I bought it for the show because I'm like, I don't think we can get this that easily. Let's boogie.
Yeah, that's a good pickup. That's definitely a movie that pops up here and there through the ceremony. Let's see. All right, well, we can either go best director or best supporting actor. Supporting actor has 3 guys in it, so I don't know what you want to do.
Let's do director, and then we'll finish with acting.
All right, this is a good group here. We have some recognizable names. Bob Fosse won for Cabaret. John Borman up for Deliverance. Jan Troell for The Immigrants. Francis Ford Coppola for The Godfather. And Joseph Mankiewicz. Hell yeah, we haven't talked about that name in a while. The Mank for Sleuth. Sleuth is not in the Best Picture category. That is interesting because Sounder is in, and Sounder's not up for Best Director. I wonder if Sleuth deserves that spot. You know what I mean?
I have a feeling it did. Just knowing what I know about that movie and who's in it and what it's about, I'm like, yeah, this is probably deserves to be there.
Yeah.
Joseph Mankiewicz was Mank's brother, right?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, the one who's not as crazy and yeah.
This one's
hard. I don't know. Maybe he is crazier. He's a more recognizable name. He did way more work in the director's chair. So
true. But did he write Citizen Kane? I don't think so.
No. And has he been played by Gary Oldman? Definitely not.
Oh boy. Damn, this one's hard. I would have immediately gone to Coppola, but now that I've seen Cabaret, I think Fosse deserved this one.
Man, that's tough.
Coppola, he got it for part 2, which I think was a bigger endeavor, more director's chair kind of thing. So good. I think he won for the right movie. Godfather 1, epic, awesome movie. Cabaret, though, I think Fosse had to really, put the gloves on and do some work here.
Okay. I'm totally fine with that. I love both these guys. Francis it's just crazy. Well, really both of them. Really hats off to both of them for just proving everybody wrong. Yeah. And proving everybody that I can do this. This is something I have a future in. And Fosse does Lenny in 1974, all that jazz in 1979. Coppola does Godfather Part 2 in 1974 and Apocalypse Now in 1979. So,
And The Conversation.
Of course, I love The Conversation. I think that's the underrated one from that group of hey. He also wrote Patton. So
Hell, man. Jeez.
Yeah. his 70s run is kind of unrivaled, Francis. But I'm okay with Fosse taking this one. I wouldn't be mad either way, right? I mean, Coppola, obviously, against all odds, working with so many up and comers, and then Marlon Brando, just this giant. It's really crazy how well this movie worked out, and just knowing everything behind production and what it took to get there. But Fosse, he turns out this 2-hour just super entertaining piece of work that deals with a lot of themes. Love triangle, deals with the subtle rise of Nazi Germany, and somehow got Liza Minnelli to do some of the best work I've ever seen.
It's probably a good thing Coppola didn't win, because his acceptance speech probably would have been like, fuck Robert Evans, and then he would have walked away.
Yeah.
So that's probably why they didn't give it to him. They knew he was going to go off on Paramount.
There was a lot of people that he could go off on. People try to sabotage the shit out of him while he's doing that movie. So yeah, I think both of them, it's clearly between them two.
No contest.
I think we need to see Sleuth to really, give Joseph that fair shot, but I have a hard time believing it's on the director's front. It's going to rival those movies.
I'm sure Sleuth is great, but I highly doubt it's going to be that great. It's not going to be Godfather great, but it's going to be a decent flick, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Supporting actor.
All right.
We got 3 fucking Godfather characters here. None of them won, though. None of them won. This had to be something that happened with a voting where, like a split vote type situation, where it's like, if it was only Al Pacino, he might have had a chance at winning, but he boycotted and whatnot. If it was only Robert Duvall, maybe he had a chance. But because there's all 3 of them there, people who are voting are like, you got 3 nominations. We'll give it to somebody else. But Joel Grey is great. Joel Grey is the MC in Cabaret 1, and I have no problem with it. I think he's a big reason why this movie works. Eddie Albert was nominated for The Heartbreak Kid. Have not seen that movie. And then we got James Caan, Robert Duvall, and Al Pacino. So yeah, that just does not happen. It's very rare for even 2 people from the same movie to be in a category. But here we are, 3 guys all up for supporting, and they're all great. I'd say Al Pacino is who I would probably choose, but he does have an argument. He is in the movie more than anybody, and should probably be up for Best Actor. It's kind of like the same thing with Daniel Kaluuya and Judas and the Black Messiah. It's like that's a lead role. I mean,
well, Brando was, pretty selfish. He was like, I'll be in your movie, but I get top billing. I mean, he's got top billing in Superman, and he's in the first 10 minutes. So that was who he was. He was, I'm the lead actor, or I'm not doing it, which is not a good mindset to have, and probably why, a lot of people were like, I don't really want to deal with him.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. At that stage in his career, the guy's just like, I don't really have to prove anything to anybody.
When he can just pick up a cat he found and just add it to the movie and read cue cards literally off of Robert Duvall, like, he doesn't care.
Yeah. He's one of the goats. Yeah.
I would have, I was thinking, like, which guy from The Godfather deserved this win? And then I watched Cabaret, and I'm like, oh, Joel Grey did. Like, this was a 100% deserved win, especially after I watched his speech, and he sounds like some dude from New York.
Yeah.
And, like, he did a complete German accent for Cabaret. I was floored. I was like, this guy's amazing. So yeah, he deserved that one straight up.
He's from Ohio.
From Ohio. Jesus Christ.
Even better.
He beat 3 of the most iconic performances of all time, and I haven't seen The Heartbreak Kid, so I can't judge that one. But yeah, well done. Not bad for a closeted gay man who had to hide that for most of his life. He came out in 2015.
Insane. Yeah. Insane. Yeah, he's 90 years old now. He's from Ohio, went to high school in California. He moved there to obviously do what he was doing, and wow, incredible. Yeah, that's incredible performance.
Before this movie, the only thing I'd ever seen him in was an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
That's fantastic.
He played a demon who was like secretly like the head of some cult, and he was fucking scary. And he was just him. He wasn't like in makeup or anything. It was just him, this old man with glasses and a briefcase, just staring at people. And I was like, fuck this. Like, this dude's a nightmare. So even then I was like, this guy's too good for this show. And that's why he was an Oscar-winning actor who needed the money.
That's brilliant. But what a call. What a crazy connection. Cabaret and Buffy.
I know. It was wild.
Oh man, that's great. Do you think so if you had to vote, take Joel Grey out?
All right, if I had to vote for the Godfather win, for Godfather Part 1, it's James Caan.
I love that.
Yeah.
Totally okay with that.
Santino Corleone. I love James Caan. He's such a fucking firecracker. Especially like right from the beginning when he just trashes that guy's camera and then throws a couple bucks at him, which was a total out of the blue improvised moment, by the way. Love that. Guy didn't know James Caan was going to come at him and throw his camera to the ground.
No, I believe that. I believe that. James Caan, not an easy guy to deal with. They reshot certain stuff, right, for part 2, and he famously was like, I'm good. I don't want to do that shit. You guys killed my character off. It's like, well, dude, it's the story. And he's like, yeah, but I should be in the movies. Like, he was just on so many drugs. And
he negotiated like the craziest fucking deal for that like 3-minute cameo at the dinner at the end of part 2. They had to cut Brando out because they couldn't afford him after paying James Caan everything he wanted. It's like, shit, dude.
Yeah, James Caan. I
surprised he didn't pop up in part 3 as Sonny's ghost or something.
Oh, good old part 3. I haven't seen that one. Also, I haven't seen any of these since we did it on Filmgazm, but I always forget that one.
Yeah, same.
That's just the way it goes. This is the first time we've like mentioned that there's a part 3. this 2.5 hour fucking episode.
It's the black sheep of the Godfather family. Nobody likes part 3.
Fantastic. So great. Real quick, do you think if you switched Al Pacino, say Marlon Brando is like, it doesn't exist here, do you think Al Pacino, well, I guess because we haven't seen Sleuth, we can't really say because Laurence Olivier and Michael Caine are both up, but Al Pacino, like, it's so, I just feel like he should be in that category, and I wonder how he would stack up against the competition. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. And I'm with you. I think Joel Grey deserved that one. Nobody was taking it away from him. But it would be interesting to see Pacino and Brando in the same category. It'd be fascinating.
It would be. I think Brando still wins.
Yeah, me too.
But Pacino, yeah, it's The Godfather is the saga of Michael Corleone. It's his story. It's his rise to fall, his a good guy to villain to regretful old man. So him being lead actor, I get it. That should have happened. But part 2 is really where he shines the most. So I think that's where he should have gotten it, if anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, part 2 is his show. He's so good in that movie. Probably my favorite Pacino. I don't know. That's hard. I love a lot of Pacino roles. I could talk about him forever. All right. Well, best supporting actor. That's a good group. I feel like I need to see The Heartbreak Kid, which is an Elaine May movie, and I like Elaine May. It's cool to see a female directed movie in a supporting actor category. That's cool. So I'll try to check that one out so I can kind of round out that group. But I have a hard time believing Joel Grey isn't taking it. Let's do screenplay. Okay. Or we could do actor if you want, because again, we haven't seen Sleuth. I don't know if you've seen The Ruling Class, Peter O'Toole.
I haven't.
Yeah, so Marlon Brando wins. He's not there. He declines the fucking trophy. Michael Caine's up for Sleuth. Laurence Olivier's for Sleuth. Jesus Christ, those two. Peter O'Toole. I mean, O'Toole is a legend in his own right. And then Paul Winfield for Sounder. Yeah, I mean, Brando, it's hard to believe that this would be something he would lose to these guys, but I really do think seeing Sleuth,
I
like we need to see that movie.
We do. I think you swap Pacino and Winfield. I think Winfield is more supporting in this movie. I think,
Yeah,
he's there in the beginning, he's there in the end, but the entire movie he's in prison. We don't see him.
yeah, just like small visits. Yeah,
That's
you're
not
right.
that's not a lead actor performance.
No, it's not. The kids are in it more. Yeah, that's a great call. And Ruling Class, I think we need to see that before we make a final call. But this is fucking Vito Corleone. Like, or is someone really going to beat him? I don't know. Probably not. But it is worth us going back and doing our own homework, our own research, just to kind of make the call for real. But screenplay, I think we can have more to say. Because there's 4 movies here that we've been talking about all night. This is adapted screenplay. The Godfather 1. Yeah. Cabaret, The Immigrants, Pete and Tilly, and Sounder. What is Pete and Tilly? It's a funny name. Also directed by Martin Ritt, which is the director of... Ooh. Okay. I would watch this. I like Walter Matthau. He's great. I would
Walter
watch this movie.
Matthau. Oh,
Yeah.
And Carol Burnett. Oh, I bet this is
Yeah, I would watch this. Ooh. Okay. So, okay, that's the only one you haven't seen. Okay, so Godfather, we talked about the screenplay a bunch. The dialogue is amazing. It might be the best aspect of the movie.
100%. If this didn't win this award specific, I could deal with it not winning Best Picture as long as it takes home screenplay.
I totally get that. Like if Cabaret won Best Picture, I could go to sleep at night. I'd be okay.
Yeah. I'm honestly surprised it didn't, considering the, 8 Oscars, at that point you're thinking like, oh, Cabaret's got this in the bag. But, then the Corleones sneak up behind it with a gun.
Yeah.
Take home the night.
Yeah. Yeah, they cut the head off of Liza Minnelli's stallion, and they're like, think about that again, They
sat the Academy president down and assured him that either his brains or his signature was going to be on this paper. So
yes. I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. Yeah. So good. Yeah. I think, obviously we've talked about Best Picture. We're both on board that Godfather is, we've been talking about it all night. It's just a masterpiece, brilliant movie. I love being able to talk about it at length here. Feels right. Feels like we've done something real here. We've talked about movies that have come and gone, have had like a personal lasting on us as viewers. We've talked about movies that we probably won't ever watch again. But The Godfather is one of the most important movies we've ever covered on any of our shows. It's been a long time coming, and I've had a fucking blast doing this with you, man. It's always great to do these monstrous movies that we both get to just pour ourselves out on these episodes.
Yeah, it feels good to unpack a lot. This show has changed me as a film fan more than anything in my life. I've learned so much. I've learned to love certain movies. I've learned to hate others. I feel like I've become a more well-rounded film buff and person because of this show. So I'm very glad you had the idea to create this, and it's been a ride. And I look forward to recording this one more than I do to any of the shows, because I just know that something magical is going to happen during the conversation, regardless of what the theme is. And that has happened 105 consecutive times. So thank you very much. This has been so much fun. I look forward to the next 105.
Same here, man. And next week we're doing Jurassic Park. So, we're not going to slow this train down at all. Next week, the new Jurassic World Dominion, that movie comes out. So we want to kind of fuck with Jurassic Park, fuck with dinosaurs. We've done a Filmgazm episode on Jurassic Park, but it was you and Caleb.
Yes.
Bringing it to this show is a completely different template, different thing. I've never really gotten to talk about Jurassic Park at length, and I can't wait because I really, really like that movie, and I haven't seen it probably in like a year. So I'm amped to all the way through. I'll catch Jurassic Park on fucking HBO or something, like flipping channels, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll watch 20 minutes of this shit. And so I'm excited to watch the whole thing, just sit down, pick awards for it, and talk about the 66th Academy Awards, talk about 1993. I'm sure we'll do some kind of top 5, but I'm not sure yet what we're gonna do. Sometimes with a movie like Jurassic Park, it'll just come to you when you're watching it. You're like, oh, let's do 1993. We've done some Spielberg stuff, so I don't know. Maybe you and I can kind of brainstorm and do something fun. But either way, we're gonna be talking dinos, talking Spielberg, talking Oscars. It's gonna be great. This Wednesday though, because Crimes of the Future comes out next weekend as well. That's David Cronenberg's new movie. Fucking legend. We don't know how much longer he's going to be making movies, so we got to appreciate while it's here. We're going to be covering his best movie, in my opinion, and I think in most people's opinion, The Fly from 1986. Just an absolute masterclass horror movie, movie in general. One of the best 80s movies I've seen, and I can't wait to hear. I'm sure that's going to be you and Colton, or you and Caleb?
All three of us. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
We all love The Fly. We're very much excited about this one. This is a long time coming. We did the original Vincent Price Fly a long time ago. And I've just been waiting for a reason to bring this out. And Cronenberg's first movie in 20 years is the right occasion. So yeah.
Correct. Yeah. This definitely feels right. Feels like good timing. So we're kind of splitting up the week. We got The Fly for Filmgazm on Wednesday to, pay respects to Cronenberg and his great filmography and probably his best movie. And it's also got, one of the stars of Jurassic Park in it. So that's fun. And then on Friday, Beyond the Bad, we're going to be doing Jurassic Park 3. This is the one that a lot of people just shit talk and don't like. And so it'll be kind of cool for you guys to talk dinos, but also shit talk dinos and have some fun with it. Fun fact, Jurassic Park 3 is the first movie I watched with Willow in my hands at the hospital. It was just on TV at the hospital. They have these, they have those little TVs on the wall. Yeah. There's only like 80 channels. So you're just scrolling like, fuck. She's just sleeping. I was like, oh, Jurassic Park 3's on. Why not? So I sat down and watched the whole thing. And yeah, so that one's like kind of special to me. Plus I love the Jurassic Park movies, even if they're just dumb and silly. I still have fun, and that's usually what matters. So it's going to be a Cronenberg and dinosaur week basically here, which is great. I love saying that out loud. That'll be fun filled. And then the week after that is my wedding. So I will probably be skipping the episode that's after Jurassic Park. I'll probably let Connor and Caleb take care of that one. I'm going to be really busy that week. And, but the movie is great. We picked a really cool movie, really fun one. So I'm not afraid of, you and Caleb repeating what we did that one time with, I believe, Skyfall. Yeah. I was not on Skyfall, and you and Caleb did that one just yourselves.
Yeah. And then we had that one like emergency episode where you had a situation developing and we had to do the recap.
That's right. So yeah, it's happened before. You and Caleb have taken over 2 of the 105 Oscar Sunday episodes, and I'm not afraid of you guys doing that. I know you care a lot about what we're doing, and I know the movie that y'all are gonna do together, y'all both really like, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have a blast. I'm looking forward to knowing what we got coming on the pipeline on Oscar Sunday. We got some good shit for the next few. It's gonna be fun.
Hell yeah, man. Well, this has been great. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Filmgazm. Check out. We've got reviews coming out the wazoo. We've got some really cool reviews from Josh, who's right now not here in the United States with us. So that's cool to see him still fucking, just feeding that passion, right? He writes really good reviews, and he's got a few up right now that movies that he clearly loves a lot. So always check out our stuff and stick with us. We'll see you guys on Wednesday for The Fly.